one thing to say like, oh, think positive thoughts, and that's it's simple because it is simple. Most people don't know that they are in control of their own emotions. Hey guys, so let's talk a little bit about emotional intelligence. So I'm sure we've all heard of emotional intelligence, and emotional intelligence is the ability to assess and identify one's own emotions and not really internalize the situation. Emotionally intelligent people are normally more laid back, more chill. They seem to have a grasp on life. They seem to not internalize um, or overreact to certain things, and they don't overreact to other people's projections onto them. So, which I believe that that is a key that you need for your manifestations, not just for your manifestation, but it is a soft skill that you can use to carry you throughout your life, your career, and it's something that you need in the way that you need to hold your manifestation long term. It is what you need to be able to sustain that change that you are making. So emotional intelligence is something that you have to overcome and you have to gain as you scale through life. If you don't have emotional intelligence, you will always make yourself out to be the victim. Emotional intelligence helps you to deepen the relationship with yourself, which I want to stay on that a little more. Not only does it help you to deepen the relationship with yourself, it also helps you deepen the relationship with your business, with your partners, with your friends, your family, with your environment. So, but I want to focus on us a little more, so the relationship with ourselves. And I find that anytime I was not using emotional intelligence was when I was internalizing something. So we've talked a little bit about internalization the past few days, and what happens when you internalize other people's projections onto you or perceive an idea as being something that you overreact to instead of taking the time to just sit and ponder on the situation and figure out the best way to respond. I believe that plays a part in why we don't get what we want, or why we're not able to quite grasp and cement the new identity that we are creating for ourselves. And I have a few questions that I want you guys to kind of ask yourself to kind of see if you are someone who is struggling with emotional intelligence, and just to kind of ask yourself these questions just to kind of assess where you are in your life. You can take your pen and paper out and write them down, or you can put them in your phone, in your notes or whatever, or you can just silently say them to yourself. But they are a few questions that I want you guys to really just think about and really just kind of get to that root of where it is and help you to kind of unmask that, so that way you're able to progress on with emotional intelligence, and it will better your relationships. It will get you to where you need to be. It will also help you to see life in a way that is not being against you. You will see everything for that will be used for your own benefit if you are able to assess yourself correctly and admit that you have things that you need to work on, because we all do. None of us are perfect. So the first question that you can ask yourself is, do you listen in a attempt to react or respond? And I know for me, I used to be very reactive to a lot of things in life. If someone said or even criticized me, I used to take it as a slight. And some people meant well, and of course, not everyone always means well, but I internalized every single thing, even if it was for my benefit, as something that kind of helped me figure out or feel like I just couldn't grasp the emotion behind it. It was like I didn't want to see, like, oh, like, felt like someone was just picking on me, and it just made me the victim in every situation. But now I find myself listening and thinking a little bit before I respond to a situation. And people who exude emotional intelligence don't respond right away to certain things. They kind of give it a little bit of time, and then they ponder on it, and then they decide which way is the best way to respond to their said situation. All right, so the next question is your response to criticism, your immediate response, is it to defend yourself? So that kind of goes back to the same, the first question. But whenever I would respond or react, it was always in a way to defend myself. It was always a quick scan to see what was wrong with the other person and try to project back onto them something about them when it's just, you guys, it just kind of made a whole thing that where I was always looking in the worst in a way for people, or looking at something that someone needed to work on, as if like we all don't have things that we need to work on. And regardless of how they feel towards me, like a lot of the times that has nothing to do with us. So sometimes we take perceived slights and perceived criticism and digs as we just take them and we make them true, because at the end of the day, criticism is just an opinion. It doesn't have to be fact. In conflict, are you looking for someone else to blame? And this is a big one, I believe, because we talk about shame a lot, and well, I like to talk about shame a lot. And I know, as you guys have watched, if you watch my shame video, I talk about how that video, shame, it makes you unable to, it makes you hide, and it makes you always find someone else to blame and someone else to kind of point towards as an excuse as to why you can't do, be, or have the things that you want out of life, or why you can't make the change. And it's always going to be someone else and never you. And it just makes you kind of a victim to life's circumstances instead of choosing the path that you want to go down. So again, I'll say that question again: when in conflict, are you looking for someone else to blame? All right, so number 4 is, do you judge yourself or others harshly? And this is like with self-judgment. So when you critique and criticize yourself, do you beat yourself down? Because I realize when you beat yourself down, you can only see the bad in others. So you'll turn around and you'll start blaming and judging other people just as harsh as you blame yourself. And somebody might not be doing anything wrong to you at all, but you're just assuming that, you know, that person, like you're just going in on them. You can only see the worst in other people because you only see the worst in yourself. 5 is, do you run from conflict or respond angrily off the bat? So a lot of the times conflict can be hard, but conflict can also make us grow. And a lot of the times when we are not able to express ourselves in a way that makes us feel safe, or we feel like we can't express ourselves in a way that makes us feel safe, we never face the conflict or the hard conversations. So we always find ourselves running from the person, and mainly running from ourselves, because that is signaling you being called to task to be able to face something, not about necessarily a situation, but something within yourself that you need to kind of face, if that makes sense. So I'll say that one more time. Do you run from conflict and respond angrily off the bat? Like you just flip out and not really take it as a learning or growing moment. All right. And so this is the last one. Do you internalize situations that you are not in control of? And this is a big one. And this is one that I find that a lot of people who are depressed or have self-deprecating or defeating thoughts, this is a big one for them. They internalize every single thing as um, something that they have done, or something, or that they are the cause of. And this all goes back to shame, you guys. This, whatever the shame was that was placed on them, or whatever they placed on themselves, kind of helps to perpetuate the cycle where they always feel like they are the cause of everything bad happening in their life and other people's lives. And it's very easy to be taken advantage of by people. So which that in itself is kind of a harder thing to come out of, because you're always looking at someone else, because someone else, you're looking to your outside for the external validation to say that yes, this is happening because I'm this way, or it always happens because I'm this way. Like there's so many self-deprecating thoughts that come from you internalizing situations, and also internalizing things for long periods of time. Guys, think of all the diseases and the and the just from everything being piled up and compacted down, and you're not really allowing yourself to emote and to speak and to deal with those emotions. So you can imagine the long-term effects that it has, not just mentally but physically as well. All right, so I want you guys to really go through those questions and ask yourself these questions. And we're not perfect, you guys. We're all gonna like go back and forth to where we flip out on the handle. Like I do quite a bit. That's something that I'm still working on. The one thing that really has helped me has been to give it a second or a third look and just say nothing, to be honest. Like when a situation occurs, most of the times I don't say anything until I'm able to process my emotions, to be able to process what happened, to be able to find my part in it, because sometimes there are things that we do need to take accountability for. And it's also able to really just see if it's not something that someone else is going through, because once you really start to learn how to be emotionally regulated, you see when it's something that's coming at you, or a slight or a perceived criticism, that can be a projection from someone else based off of their own insecurities. So sometimes when people project onto us their own insecurities, and we internalize it and we make that true, and we're not able to really have the emotional capacity to dissect and observe what are our emotions, or what it different from someone else's emotions, if that makes sense. And then we just take on everything and we take the blame. That's how a lot of people get in relationships with people who definitely take advantage of them. And it's all about really learning how to stand up for yourself, you guys. So that is, and developing the emotional intelligence is definitely just going to help you get to where you need to be, not just in your manifestations but for your overall life, you guys. So of course I know we like to get things and to have like our manifestations and things like that, but I really want to go to the root causes, and I want to talk and expand more on these subjects, because it's one thing to say like, oh, think positive thoughts, and it's simple, because it is simple. But sometimes you need to understand why it's simple, and why you actually have a why you're able to be the one to make the decision and make the change, because sometimes you don't know it's an emotional thing that you have control over, that you have control over your emotions. Most people don't know that they are in control of their own emotions. So we're going to continue this talk tomorrow, so come back tomorrow for part 2 of this video, and I hope that it was a good one, and I'll talk to you guys on my next video. Bye.